for this year's COP is the new goal on finance, which we are set to decide as a follow-up to the current $100 billion goal, which we set already in Copenhagen in 2009. So the new goal is a successor to that, and what we are here to decide on is, amongst other things, the volume of that new goal, but also who will be contributing to the new goal, and sort of the general setup of the new goal. One thing is, of course, the quantum or the volume of, how much finance will there actually be. It's said to be from the floor of $100 billion annually up to, some have suggested, $1,000 billion annually. And then, of course, also who will be contributing to the new goal. And there are some who are saying, like the EU, for example, are thinking that there should be more contributors. Countries like China or the Gulf states could be potential contributors to the new goal. They're already contributing, but the crux here is sort of how to ensure that that can be accounted for as well within the new goal. I mean, the COP meetings have been growing in terms of just the number of people attending, and a lot of that is, at least as I see it, a reflection of the large interest from so many actors to be part of the conversation here and to be presenting the kind of solutions that they have. Obviously, from a Swedish perspective, I'm very proud to see the large number of Swedish business actors being present here, highlighting the kind of solutions that they have available to accelerate the transition globally. And I think that would be specifically important this year, since next year all countries are to present their new nationally determined contributions, or their NDCs, for ahead of COP30. And these documents are key documents for us to be able to assess how far we've come in living up to what we set ourselves in the Paris Agreement to limit temperature rise to 1.5 and also to create more resilient societies. What we're here to do is, of course, to agree texts on the various agenda items. I mean, there are in parallel 5 meetings ongoing, and each of these meetings maybe have 20 items on their agenda, so something like 100 agenda items. Some of them are negotiated in parallel, but for each of these agenda items, we need a negotiated outcome in terms of a text. That can be a couple of sentences, or it can be even a couple of pages. So what we from the EU do, or from a Swedish perspective, we're part of the EU negotiating team, and as the EU, we then want to see a certain outcome for all these various agenda items. So our job is to make sure that these texts are as forward-leaning, as ambitious as possible, and presenting again the kind of solutions that we see are available to accelerate the transition globally as guidance then to all the different countries that are here. This is what we can do to accelerate climate action globally. I think there's a lot that you do know, but yes, it is difficult. And I think the reason for it being difficult is, of course, that different countries have different sets of priorities. They have different starting points when it comes to how quickly they can accelerate the transition. Some are in need of finance to support them in their transition. Others maybe want the transition to take longer because they have a strong dependency of fossil fuels today, and they're seeing that their transition away from fossil fuels, as we agreed to do at COP28 in Dubai, will take longer than maybe we as European countries would want it to take. So I think there are the difficulties we have in agreeing the various texts is, of course, also a reflection of what kind of starting points and entry points that different countries have coming here to these countries.